Everyone. This is Sandra Roach, and I'm so glad you guys decided to join me this morning. Want to take this time to say welcome and checking out to see how everyone's doing. Um, so welcome to Four Stages of Intimacy. Isaac and Sandra over the creators of iSCORED Relationship Scorecards. And we're really excited about sharing ways to increase intimacy in relationships, especially during a time like this where so many, we just celebrated the royal wedding and that was great. And it kind of helped with the continuing those keeping those fires burning. And so just a little bit about us. My honey had to run to a meeting today. So I'm going to be doing this. This is going to be, we want to allow couples, give them resources to help increase intimacy in their relationship. So my husband and I have been married for 14 years, dating for 18 years. And we have two children, Alina and Johnny. My husband works for Isaac Roach Consulting, which is a financial institute, and I am a tutor and a life coach. And we're also marriage coaches for iSCORED at date night. And, just wanting to start off with stats. As far as statistics, if you notice the trend on the screen, we have divorces have been steadily increasing for the past a few decades. And we even have, based on the trend, we have marriages just declining. So there's people making decisions to not even get married at all. So about 2 weeks ago, I'm not sure if anyone had a chance to watch the ABC series Blackish, and it was very emotional because the stars were contemplating divorce after a while. And I thought it was very interesting, the statistics that they brought up. It said in the US, every 38 seconds, someone gets divorced. Wow. And they went on to saying how many divorces that was per week. And it also equates to about 827,261 per year. That's a lot. And so after hearing that stat, I'm further committed to helping marriages stay strong. Just stay strong and working through those different things. So let's talk about what intimacy is. So intimacy is a close, familiar relationship. It's usually affectionate between one person or a group. And there are various types of intimacy. You've heard of the verbal, the spiritual, recreational, emotional, intellectual, physical, and financial. Most of the times, a lot of them, they're broken up into various things, but it's how close you are in your relationship. Now, so we discussed the different types of intimacy. Now, stages of intimacy. When you think about stages, I often think about progression, how, you have a beginning and you're moving towards where you want to be. So that's what we're going to discuss today, the 4 stages of intimacy. So the first stage, spark. When you think of a spark, you think of 2 heated by friction. So I think of when you light a match, right? You have a spark of fire. So let's say when you're in the spark stage of intimacy, oftentimes there are different, you can tell when it's in the spark stage. First of all, the conversation tends to be a little different. All right. So the conversation may be, it's current, whatever you're talking about, it's light and it's positive. Distance. So as far as the distance, you tend to be a little bit further away from each other. As you can see in that picture, you have, they're about 5 to 10 feet apart. You're still in the same vicinity with your spouse, but that's a little bit, you're probably working and doing something else. So if you're in a spark stage and you're thinking, okay, I want to get a little bit closer to my honey, one way to get closer to spark up, it's almost like sparking up a conversation, is to offer assistance. So if you see somebody's folding the clothes, one way to get into the spark stage of intimacy is to at least grab some clothes and help put it up, or sit next to your husband or your wife, whoever's doing the actual activity, and offer to help. Okay. Most of the time that the intimacy level is kind of non-sexual. So, but it allows you to get little bit closer. So wherever you are, whether you're in another room and you're ready to kind of get that closeness with your significant other, get a bit closer, 5 to 10 feet, and offer assistance in whatever activity they're partaking in. Now, the next level is hot. So when I think the definition of hot is having or giving off heat, exhibiting a temperature that is higher than normal. So in the hot phase, so once you kind of get that conversation going, you're a little bit closer. So the conversation is more active and sincere. This is a great time to offer a compliment of some sort. So let's say we got to come up with anyone have an activity I can kind of demonstrate? So think of an activity that you actually, so oftentimes I know washing dishes, folding clothes, going outside in doing some yard work. With me, it would probably be yard work. I wouldn't voluntarily offer to do that.
That would be great.
I wouldn't. But if I wanted to increase intimacy, sometimes we find ourselves doing things that we ordinarily wouldn't do, but we know it helps, or your significant other likes it. So that's where, if I'm in the kitchen and my husband's outside doing the leaf blower, I would go outside. So just to spark it, I would go outside just so I can get a little bit closer and ask him, how his day is going. And then for the conversation to get it to this hot stage, it'd be active listening and actually being sincere. Sometimes sarcasm can sneak in, or you feel forced, but your words are very, very important, because your significant other can sense if you're being sincere or not, because they are very accustomed to you. So now I'm about 1 to 5 feet to him, and I'm also asking, so whatever activity before we were kind of away from each other, now I'm a little bit closer to him. Now I'm asking him, hey, can I help you with something? And this is a great time where he'll actually help me with I would help him with the leaf blower. You see what I'm saying? So now the activity is shared. You're now in close vicinity of each other. Let's say you're cooking. This would be a great day. So wives, if you're cooking something, this would be as a husband, it'd be great to at least offer to, put the water on the stove. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So the activity is shared. So now we're cooking together. All right. Or we're playing a video game together. Or we're cutting the grass together. So intimacy, sometimes you have to read the body language. Right now, I'm sharing the positive parts, but sometimes it can be not so positive. So you have to make sure, especially if it's after an intense, let's say there was some type of disagreement and stuff, and you decide that you want to get closer or communicate with your spouse. So as you're coming in through the spark phase and you're going into the hot phase, you're getting closer, read the body language of your partner, because they may or may not want you to be that close. So we are human. So just make sure that you're reading the body language. If it's a receptive body language where they're allowing you to help them, then you're in that hot stage pretty strong, and then you can kind of keep it moving. So one of my favorite parts, Inferno. So when you think about Inferno, you think of raging heat. So now, oh my goodness, you've gotten a little bit closer, you're sharing your activity, and now you're really in there. All right, so heavy compliments. So my husband might say, "Hey, I love how you're holding that that leaf blower," and I'm like, "Oh, thank you. I like how you're cutting that grass," or "Oh, I love the way you put that." What's that? Cooking. My husband likes to bake cheesecakes, or he does a lot of the cooking. So, or if he's stirring the meat sauce. I'm like, I just love how you're, look at those arms as you're stirring that meat sauce. You really got it going on. Have you been working out? So keep it fun, because remember, the great thing about marriage, you guys decided to spend the rest of your life together. You could have picked anybody, but you picked the one you're with. So this is a great time for the heavy compliments, whether they're corny or not. Just make each other smile with those compliments and within that activity. The distance tend to be 0. So now there's some touching going on where you're rubbing up against each other a little bit. So where you're accidentally just, bumping into your partner just on purpose, just so you can get that little rub, that shoulder rub, or, I tend to, we're going to keep it, we're married folks here. I tend to grab my honey's butt when he's cooking, just because, or if he's just free, I just kind of run up and just jump on him, be like, "Catch me," hoping he does, but, and if he can, that's great, just to kind of play around and stuff. So the distance is 0, but this is a great time to have fun with it. So this is the Inferno phase activity. You're both tapped into each other. So after you get that go light on the hot phase, this is where you can really tap into each other. And there's eye contact, there's body contact. And remember, when you think of intimacy, it doesn't always have to be in the bedroom. It doesn't have to, I'm trying to give you practical ways and tools, despite wherever you are, as far as any activity that you're doing. So that's why I have the cooking, you have the yard work, you're at an event. So this is where you are really tapped in to your spouse. Think about the things that you did before you got married, all the fun things, all the activities, being on the phone, listening to each other. This is the stuff that you can kind of tap in on a daily or even weekly basis, because I know schedules are busy. Ember, next stage of intimacy, smoldering remains of a fire. So basically, once everything, the food's done, you kind of just sit down and you just realize how blessed you are. Or after you look at the barbecue, and after your husband's done smoking the meat, and you guys are having fun. Now it's just sitting down, eating and enjoying each other. So it's smoldering, it's remaining. And the great part about this, it says still capable of being revived. Wow, I like that part. So the conversation, the compliment, the time. So you compliment the time that's spent together, or um, depending on the activity, there may not be much talking afterwards. But this would be a great time where you're talking about how like most of the time when I work with my, let's say for me it's yard work, I'll say, honey, I really enjoyed the time being out there with you, and he's like, I enjoy it too. Or I was like, honey, I really enjoyed the food that you cooked. You did a great job. This food is delicious. And so you're still continuing those words and those actions and saying, hey, I really appreciate. Everyone wants to be appreciated. All right. No matter how many years you've been together, everyone wants to be appreciated. All right. So it's a fine line between appreciation and just, giving straight up condescending insults or sarcasm. So the distance, it's 0 to 5 feet, because remember the previous stage, it was at 0 feet. It was pretty hot and heavy, but now you can be really close to each other or just a few feet away, and you're just kind of complimenting the activities more relaxed. You're more like, okay, all right, all is well. This is a good time to kind of just, stare your spouse up and down, and remember and just acknowledging how fine they are and what they mean to you. Eye contact as far as intimacy is very good, because now you're still saying, I am here, and that whole complimenting after helps your partner know that, hey, I wasn't just here just to get it to that inferno stage. I was there because I really do care, and I'm still here for a little bit as well. So those are the 4 stages of intimacy. We have the spark, we have hot, we have inferno, and we have ember. So let me go back. So you know how for Ember, it says it has the capacity of starting up again. Let's think of an activity. Sometimes, let's say we're going for a walk. You come back and you're all, you get something to get some water, because after spending that time with um, your mate, it does spark something. You realize, oh man, we do still have fun, and you may engage in more activities. So that's what's great about starting the intimacy process. As you're going through the various stages, you're getting that closer um, intimacy. You're getting that closer relationship with your spouse. It allows you to remember, trigger thoughts and the good times, because as families, as we're growing up, if you have little kids or you have a job, you end up becoming roommates. You're here, you have your schedule, you put it on the calendar, and you kind of go about your business. We know pickups here, drop-offs here, we have this engagement here. So you're just doing life, but are you truly doing life together? So with this, just being intentional and knowing what your spouse's needs, you'll realize, hey, we did still have fun. And you take that time, because intimacy does equal stronger relationships. So when it comes to relationship, yes, we discussed all the happy times. You're cooking and cleaning, you're happy, and you're about to spark up some conversation and go into this the next different stage until you get to inferno. That is the key. But then let's say you do all that stuff and you realize, hey, they're not feeling it. What if you initiate this time to spend with your spouse and they're not feeling it? And also, when we talk about relationship, we said intimate relationship. So whether you're a husband or wife, but what if you have children? Those are relationships as well, right? Familial relationship. So you may have your relationship you're trying to mend with your daughter or your son. So those are relationships as well. Also, so that's, brothers. There's also sibling or friendship. These are all the various types of relationships that we have in our lives. And conflict does happen. So, how can I begin to engage my significant other? That's a great question. I'm so glad you guys asked. One way, if there's conflict or an argument or some type of disagreement, and you're trying to step into that spark phase just so you can initiate and get to all four stages of intimacy, you have to be able to engage them when all signs say no. All signs say, don't talk to me. Don't even look my way. I'm sure you guys have been there before. So I'm sure you've heard of that, where you're trying to uh, reconcile and your counterpart is not really feeling it. So you're probably trying to figure out, how can I engage my significant other? Well, I have the answer. So iSCORED is the relationship scorecard. So yes, it's the marriage cheat sheet, but it's ultimately the relationship scorecard. So based on the relationships that we kind of covered, whether it's spousal, it's marital, I mean, or familial or sibling, those are all relationships. And you can use the iSCORED relationship scorecard to help mend those relationships. So iSCORED is it's a fun game that allows you to be intentional about meeting the needs of whoever you're playing with. It helps you keep a track of the positive points. Like you score positive points by meeting the needs of your significant other. So you don't have to worry about mind reading. If I suggest that everyone at least start an iSCORED game, because it allows you to see what your spouse writes down. So even if you played it once or twice, you still have record of what they want. As long as they fill it out, you can always tap in to that record. So it helps you increase intimacy by deliberately dating your mate. So in the marital context, it's more of, hey, we might have an off week and we're not playing iSCORED, but I remember from a month ago the type of things you like as a gift. Or I remember from a month ago something, a recreational activity you want to do. That's a great time to surprise them. All right, that's a great time to surprise your significant other. And as far as I have a daughter, and I absolutely love green tea. And that's when I realized iSCORED was for relationships, because she made me green tea one time. And I'm not sure if I was having an off day or I was just kind of busy or being a little tired. She made me some green tea and she brought it up to me. And I was like, thank you. And as she was handing it to me, she said, iSCORED. And that's when it clicked. I was like, oh my goodness, this is a relationship scorecard. So it can help me build my relationship with my daughter. So just by her observing that I love green tea, she made it for me. I didn't even ask her that day, and she made it. So with iSCORED, it's definitely a resource for marriages to continue dating in the relationship. But guess what? It's also a relationship builder. So you can use that to build relationship with your children, or with your siblings, or someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Just kind of building those gaps basing on their needs, or just a form of reconciliation. So that is the 4 stages of intimacy: Ember, hot, Inferno. Oh wait, no, spark, hot, Inferno, and Ember. And if you have any questions or date night ideas, we're firm believers of date night. You can send an email to iSCORED iSCOREDgame@gmail.com. We're on social media, all social media platform, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and the handle is iSCOREDgame. And you can always look up the hashtag iSCORED at date night for date night ideas and various things that needs to be done. And so I'm going to come on and see if there's any questions for me. Trying to maneuver through that. All right, so how'd you guys like it? How's everyone doing today? Any questions for me?
You have any questions, Rose? No questions from the Wileys. Little
No
Kevin
questions.
says hi.
Oh, hi, Kevin. Okay. Well, so that's I had the email down there, so I would love to get feedback from you guys in regards to just iSCORED in general and just the webinar, because we want to create content for relationships to help them just have resources out there where I'm all about practical uses. Sometimes you see all these different things, but I'm more of how can I score with my spouse? How can I score with my children? How can I be a better mother, a better wife? And if my husband's right here, he would say, how can he be a better husband, a better father, a better brother, or even a son? So I feel like just the whole iSCORED in general, when we compete to outlove each other, we all win. So enjoy your Saturday. Until next time, I'll make sure I send more information out, and feel free to share. So, bye.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too.